Janaranjana Yashodanandan Rajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrāja Kacharya Stotra Shanta Shri Srimati Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading from Canto 5, chapter 24, text 4, is it? Anyone can see? Can we turn on the lights? Like full on? Yes, text 4. Tato dashtat sidacharana vidyadharanam sadanani tavan matra eva. Anyone likes to repeat? Thank you. So Tataha, the planet Rahu, Adhastat, below, Siddhacharana, of the planets known as Siddhaloka and Charanaloka, Vidyadharanam, and the planets of the Vidyadharas, Sadanani, the residential places, Tavat Matra, only that much distance, 80,000 miles. Eva, indeed. Translation, below Rahu by 10,000 yojanas, 80,000 miles, are the planets known as Siddhaloka, Charanaloka, and Vidyadhar Loka. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said that the residents of Siddhaloka, being naturally endowed with the powers of yogis, can go from one planet to another by their natural mystic powers without using airplanes or similar machines. Text again. Tato dashtat siddhacharana vidyadharanam sadanani tavan matra eva. Below Rahu by 10,000 yojanas, 80,000 miles, are the planets known as Siddhaloka, Charanaloka, and Vidyadhar Loka. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So we keep hearing of the amazing arrangement of the material energy, which is considered the lower energy of the Lord. But nevertheless, it's very intriguing, very fascinating to hear about the arrangement. Modern science, of course, also tries to understand that arrangements, but for a devotee it's very dry, very void, you could say. It's a few planets with a little bit of sand or whatever, in their process to become real planets and have vegetation and civilizations and all that. A little bit of a boring worldview, you could say. Whereas this Srimad Bhagavatam vision is so much more alive, would you say so? Much more alive, much more, living entities, different civilizations on every planet, vegetation, and so on. Powers, like here it's talked about power. We understand that the further up you go in the universe, the more powers you get. Here also it's mentioned, of course, there's some planets beneath the earthly planetary system where people have amazing powers for their own sense gratification. Now, without any machine, they can travel from planet to planet. Just like we travel on this earthly planet, they travel, or we can walk, different places. They can simply travel through outer space. And for them, it's like when we walk through the fields. Prabhupada explains in another purport. Like we take a stroll through the fields, right? It's very beautiful to stroll through the fields, touch the top of the grass, and see the wide horizon full of fields, maybe forests, and so on. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada explains, these Vidyadharas, they travel through space and they get the same feeling. They get the same feeling as that. This, feeling, kind of being lost in nature, right? We get that feeling when we stroll through the countryside. So you can experience the same in a more sophisticated way when you become a Vidyadhara, maybe in your next life. You can stroll through space from one planet to the other. How good is that? Sounds amazing, but for us devotees, not such a big deal, because we want to go much further. But interestingly enough, the Bhagavatam gives this description for those who are attached to the material energy. Yes, we are attached to the material energy, to the replica or the reflection of the original, right? And actually it is a form of the Lord, in a sense. It's not an original or spiritual form, it is a replica. And just like a picture or a painting, right? You can admire a painting, Van Gogh or whatever, these big painters, Salvador Dali, and others. You can admire the painting, but you can't really love the painting. That's not possible. You can admire the ingenuity or mastership behind the painting, but you can't really love the painting. That is not possible. So in the same way, devotees, Prabhupada explains, are not really interested in this universal form, because you can't have a personal relationship with it. It's a replica. It's an expansion, an extension of the original. It reflects the original powers of Krishna. Krishna can be everywhere at any time, at any place in his creation. Now these Vidyadharas, they can travel to other planets. They have a little bit of more extensive power than we have. right? We can stroll through the fields, they can stroll through space, but Krishna can be anywhere, at any time, immediately. That's how, powerful he is. So we are interested in Krishna, not so much into his material, into the painting or into his, the material reflection. But nevertheless, for those who are not so advanced, this is quite fascinating. And Shukadeva Goswami definitely includes them here in the Bhagavatam. He gives a fascinating short synopsis of the material arrangement. And to be honest with you, it's quite fascinating to me. So that more or less reflects my spiritual advancement. I have possibly to go a long way to go, but at least I'm attracted to Krishna's external energy to a certain extent, because yes, all these powers come from Krishna, all these experiences, all these emotions come from Krishna. And his arrangement is, very like a genius, like Srila Prabhupada explains. I was reading that the planets stand in their orbits because of the sunlight. Sunlight is actually the sun is the center of all planets, and it's in a class Prabhupada gives about the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and how the sunlight actually maintains the planet in their positions. We understand from the Bhagavatam that actually the planets float. It's not that there is some gravity force or something that, because of so-called attraction, keeps them in their place. And like in physics, they explain that when they go around the sun, the force that attracts them towards the sun, and the force, because of the speed of the planet, that speed is, as my physics teacher explained me, that force that, because the planet goes around the sun, the planet, there's a force that pulls it away from the sun, right? Because it's moving. But because there is attraction, it moves not away from the sun, it moves around the sun, right? So the attraction towards the sun, the gravity and force is exactly the same as the force that pulls it away from the sun, according to my science teacher, which is quite, if you ask me, I mean, the planets have been going around the sun for millions of years, and they say that, well, it's because the gravity or attraction towards a bigger planet is exactly the same as the force that pulls it away, and that's why it keeps in the orbit like that. That's their explanation. Which is, hard to believe. Like, how can a planet for millions of years be exactly, the force be the same? It doesn't make much sense. But the Bhagavatam explains that actually, as we heard in a few verses before, quite interestingly, the planets, they go around Mount Meru, but actually their orbits are part of their machine. It's like a machine, and they go around like we have what is that called? A merry-go-round. In German it's called Karussell. Karussell. You have these animals, you have this thing that goes around, and it has these different animals, and the children can sit on it and go around. Merry-go-round, I think it's called in English. Like an arrangement like that. That's how I understand it from the previous verses from the previous chapter, that the orbits of the planet is actually part of the machinery that the planets are part of. It's not like a car that is, you put some gasoline and then you take off wherever you want to go. No, the planets, they obey the order of the Supreme to go within their orbits. it would be interesting to analyze the word orbit, the etymology of that word orbit. But Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam here that the orbit is part of the arrangement. And fascinating enough, he actually says in one purport in the previous chapter that the planets, they don't even move an inch out of their orbits. Now, how amazing is that? I mean, how big is just our planet? What to say of other planets? They're about more than, like this planet is more than 10,000 kilometers in diameter. 10,000 kilometers in diameter. And there's planets much bigger. And they don't even move 1 inch out of their orbits. How good is that? How precise of a machine is that? Must be very, very, very precise. Prabhupada says in the purport, I was quite amazed. I mean, this means that the arrangement is, even the universe is billions and billions of kilometers, it's actually depicted or arranged down to the last inch. Right? These huge billions of tons of mass planets don't even move 1 inch out of their orbits or predestined way. So how can this be just casual, like casuality, whimsical? You know, different forces are, like the modern explanation, different forces are there, and, you know, amazingly, out of nowhere, it's exactly what comes together as an orbit. It's just not very believable, if you ask me. It's much more believable that the planets follow a certain orbit, because it's part of the merry-go-round. It's part of the machine that they are set in. Yes. There's different examples you can make, but the planets also turn in themselves, right? Like we said before, Prabhupada says, because of the sunlight. And that movement that they turn in themselves, it keeps them floating. Now, if you take a stick and you put it like on the floor, like not flat, but upside down, like pointing towards the floor, the stick falls over, right? But if you give it a twist, then it stays for some time, isn't it? Have you seen it? You twist the stick. That's how I understand it. You twist the stick, and it turns in one place for some time, and then when the speed goes down, it falls over. So the planets, in a similar way, the air force keeps them in place. The sunlight is the origin of that. And the movement, which is actually quite fast, if you look at it, how many kilometers they make per second, keep them in orbit. There's a science, Prabhupada explains, that the scientists have, to a certain extent, we know the Germans from the Vedas, discovered that science, that physical ability, that if you control the air, if you move in a certain way through air, you can actually float. Like an airplane, if you see an airplane from far, you think like, it doesn't move very quickly, quite from afar. You think like, how is this thing not falling to the ground like that? From close you understand, it has a certain speed. But I've seen once, I saw an airplane from far away. Of course, Australia is a flat land, so you can see the airplanes coming in over the sea from far away, and it goes very slowly. It seems like not moving, and you think like, how is this thing not falling down? It's tons and thousands of tons, just floating in the air. It's quite amazing. Now, my father, he was a fanatic airplane model bauer, making these models of airplanes, and then you control them from a remote. Even back in the 80s, that science was there. So he would throw the airplane, and then you control it from a remote, and you go around and try to catch the upgoing winds, and then like that. So he explained this science to me. According to, it's called aerodynamics. Have you heard of that? Aerodynamics, yeah. So that the wing is made in a way that the air that goes over the wing, like the wing moves in this direction and it's like shaped in a certain way, that the air that goes over the wing has to cover a longer distance than the air that goes under the wing. You can see that a wing of an airplane is always shaped like this. This is under and this is up. So the air that goes over the wing has a longer distance to cover and therefore takes longer, which makes when you move it through the air, lift. Because it takes longer to go over the wing actually, when you move it through the air, goes up. That's their explanation, like that. So that's why an airplane stays in the air, because through its movement through the air, it is pulled up because of the slower movement of the air over the wing than under the wing. So that's an example from modern physics, but they have, Prabhupada says, figured it out to a certain extent. So we can see technology works. We give the credit to the scientists for that, but we don't give them the credit that they discovered life, or know where life comes from. We don't do that. But yes, we give the credit to a certain extent to mechanics or technology that, they have figured it out to a certain extent. So the planet, the same way, because of their movement in the air, they float. They're able to float like that and pass through a certain orbit. That's how fantastic the arrangement is of the material universe. And that means that when you actually take out the speed of a planet, if you could be able to do so, it would fall down. And that's what happened, I understand, when Hiranyaksha was exploiting the gold of the earth. The planet Earth went out of its orbit and fell into the Garbhodaka ocean. That's what happened. So it seems the material ingredients of the earth, whatever you can find within the earth, is part of the arrangement that a planet stays in its orbit, like that. So, what else? Any questions to hear till here? Yes, sir.
Somewhere I got the point, but I cannot completely understand with the airplane, with the wing, that it goes up. It don't make,
Yeah.
it would make sense if it goes down longer and it keeps the airplane.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating how the wing of an airplane works.
But why is that? It's understandable that it's like longer time that it goes up to the
Yeah, because it takes longer to go over the wing. The same air takes longer, so it's slower. It slows it down. The top of the wing is slowed down. Is slower than, and that's why it pulls up. And if you have weight, a certain weight, so because it slows down, the air goes slower on the top. It slows the wing down. It means that the front of the airplane pulls up, or of the wing pulls up the front of the wing, because the air goes slower, pulls up. So you can hang some weight onto it and take that force that pulls the front of the wing up. You can use that to put some weight. Yes. If you throw, for example, just a flat, what is that called? A flat, like this. What do you call it? A flat board. You know, it falls down. It doesn't follow any prescribed or way. But if you construct a wing, like they constructed the wing, you throw it, it goes up. As a kid, when I would play with the airplanes of my father, I would, if you just take the wing without the main airplane, just the wing, and you push it, it goes up. Because the air that flows over the wing slows it down. Because it takes longer, the air that goes over the wing takes longer, it slows the top of the wing down. So it pulls up, the front of the wing pulls up, and you can use that to put some weight, and if you balance it properly, then you actually can use that force that pulls the wing up to put some weight and make an airplane. That's how I understand it works. That's how they figured it out, and they took the idea from the Vedas, according to certain authorities, right? The Germans took that idea. And you can also see that the wing of a bird is also similarly shaped, that it's always round in the front, like it takes the air that goes over the wing, takes longer and gives it a push-up. Yes, so they're using the force of the movement through air to float, to keep in a certain height, right? So similarly, I understand the planets use the same. It's the same, of course, in a much bigger spectrum, but they use the same. It's the same science. It's the same energy or force that is at hand in the universe. The planets float in the air. Prabhupada says so many sections of the Bhagavatam and his books, that the planets float in the air. Yes. Any question? So I don't know how it works with the planets going around, but for some reason they stay also in the air. But if that movement stops, then they actually would fall down. And it's a perfect arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has put this in place. And as I mentioned before, I heard it from in a class that actually the sunlight is how would you call that in physics? Not pushes, but forgot the word. Well, starts the movement, that pushes, that, what's the word? Initiates, yeah. That initiates it's not the word I was looking for, but there's a physics word, specific physics word, when a force is impelled or, is started or ignited or whatever which word you want to use. But I understand from Prabhupada that this is, it's because of the sunlight. Sun planet is the center of the universe. I mean, at least from an energy point of view, it gives the energy to the universe to keep it running as it is, like that. And of course, what time is it? Okay. Just the second point I want to make is, the higher we go in the universe, the more power the living entities get. Like when you read the Bhagavatam, you can see that the yogis who develop their mystic power, they're more and more, or higher and higher, able to use the force of death. Like death, right? We are controlled by death. Nothing is as sure as death. But actually the yogis, they can actually control death and use death to go to the next destination. In the journey, Easy Journey to Other Planets, Prabhupada explains this, that you can't go to other planets by mechanical means, but you can go through yogic process. So they abandon the body at an advanced yogi at will, or not an advanced yogi, but a yogi through the Brahmarandra, through the hole in the skull, and attains another planet. So he controls death. He induces death. Death is actually like a transport department, you could say. It's like we are controlled by death. We get picked up by the ambulance, right? When we're sick and die, we get picked up by the ambulance. That's it. There's we can't really say where we're going. But an advanced yogi, he can choose his destination. It's like a taxi. He can, taxi comes and he can say, I want to go there, I want to go there. So that's a little better. You have some money so you can pay for a taxi, right? You've accumulated some sukriti, they say. So you can say, I want to go there, I want to go here, and take birth in another planet. And then, of course, the devotee, he's like taking a limousine. The government sends a limousine, takes him back to Godhead, right? Yes, but there's different levels. We are totally controlled by death because we're identified with matter. But in the Bhagavatam, we have the story of Dhruva Maharaj, who stepped on death would put his head, and Dhruva Maharaj would get into the airplane to Vaikuntha, stepping on death's head, and then enter the airplane. This is significant, that actually an advanced yogi, or especially the most advanced yogis like the devotees, they actually control death. Death controls everything, but actually the yogis, advanced yogis at least, and the devotees, they control death. But of course, when a yogi is not really a devotee, then his power goes away and he loses. He has to do more austerities, penances, and so on to get credit again. But there is a science where you can actually control death. How good is that? Yes. So in the second canto, you actually have a purport where Prabhupada explains that certain yogis, they actually enter the spiritual world and come back. They travel between spiritual world and material world. And he names Durvasa Muni and Narada Muni. But he says actually there's lots of living entities that actually travel back and forth. So they have, of course, attained a very high level of mystic power. Yes, like that. So here we hear about the Vidyadharas. They can stroll through the space and feel some satisfaction, but actually it goes much higher than that. You can actually go much beyond that. Okay, that's it. Any more questions? Okay, all good? All right. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Where are you always in class?
I was doing seva and I was doing the kitchen, the towels and cleaning the plates.
Very good.
Good puja and cleaning the gate.
Ist der Fuß? Ist das Bruder? Ist das Bruder?
Ah, den habe ich wollte die ein bisschen trocknen lassen. So. Anyway, not the best way to give a class.
What did you ask? Why I'm not in the